Next, Alan Haber, who was the first president of SDS in 1960 and is actively organizing in the movement for a democratic society today.
Hello, everyone. When I, years ago, had some thought of a national, international movement to change the world, I never, of course, anticipated the line of the human story that would eventuate. This gathering, to my heart, is so beautiful because it does show that while we all have followed different lives, there is some sense that we are all still together. And that's the message. If I got one thing to say, and I got tons of stuff, and what am I going to say? And I got, 10 minutes, it should be only 4. There is such social power in this room and in so many rooms like this all over the country where people are coming together because we are drawn by the sense of a need of the life system as a whole. Like the kids now say, we just can't be quiet. We got to do something. Why isn't everybody in the street? How can we tolerate the shit that is going on? Bloody murder all over the world, and we are quiet in our seats. But we're not quiet. Everybody is very distraught. What I want to say is that I took as my title, The Winning Plan. The winning plan is that we can really, if we put our minds to it in a systematic way, create a campaign that would embrace the 60, 70, 80 million people in America who understand we are getting fucked over by this system, pardon me, and that people do want a change, and that there is among us the knowledge of all the particulars that make up that change. What is the program for a new America, for the better society, the better other world that is possible? We have the parts of it, and we need to find a way to put it together. And coming together is the first acknowledgement of that we do in fact have a relationship among us. All the different reasons that have brought us here are all part of the same reason that we do have a relationship, an intention to be part of the positive change of the world that the world needs. And we are in alliance with all the oppressed and the voiceless all over the world. And it is bringing that alliance together and acknowledging our relationship and giving it a name. It used to be called SDS, Students for a Democratic Society. I wanted to expand that. It's not only students, it's seniors for a democratic society, survivors, strugglers, seekers, sisters, singers, speakers, satirists. Unfortunately, as I've often said, our largest chapter is slackers for a democratic society. But nonetheless, we do have somewhere in our heart that sense of a mission, of a connection. I want to see us acknowledge that, give it a name, Movement for Democratic Society. I like the sense that what we have together is union, the one big union, the union of humanity for the better world. This is the Proceedings of the Industrial Workers of the World, 1905. It endeavored to form among working people the one big union. We need in the world a world labor contract of what is a fair economy. We need to draw from the human story to what is the program for now. That's for each of us to put our little bit of knowledge into the picture. I won't lay out what I think are all the particulars. Let's begin with good health for everyone. But and if we actually used our intelligence with a little bit of poetry and art to put out to the people what people are actually saying themselves, reflect it back, we would find that all over the country there is a very wide consensus that there's a change needed, a fundamental change, not only in this country, but in the whole way the economy and the resources and humanity is operates in this culture of war and violence and coercion and impunity and domination, where is the culture of peace and nonviolence for the children of the world? The human compassion, the caring and the sharing and the giving that really is the future. Well, we feel it in our heart, and my message is, if we would each go to our own circles of power, every one of us is a very powerful person who we know from our families, our teachers, our friends, our co-workers, our colleagues, our neighbors across the street and over the back fence, and begin to talk a human message of the change that is needed and what we feel, we would find our neighbors feel the same thing. And we begin to find, not by talking from a stage, but by talking personally, that there is really a personal communication that is a spirit in these times that overwhelms the media. Forget the media, they're never going to give our message. But face to face, over the back fence, on a human scale, there really is a community of transformation. We're all part of it. We should each use our social power, contact through our address book and through those who know us, and begin to say, how do we get together all over the world? This is a movement for a democratic society that is international, interracial, independent, intergenerational, interesting, and we are all part of it, and we have to find our own particular way and make our own little clusters of activism. There won't be a change unless there is insurgency in every place that is part of this system and that buys into it. We need the insurgency wherever we are. That's sort of where the SDS ended in the 1960s. Insurgency everywhere. And it did. The organization sort of disappeared, but the insurgencies continued in the sociology profession, the legal profession, the medical profession, the trade unions, the schools, every place where our energy went, it was how do we transform? And that's where we are again. We're now many generations, a tremendous amount of knowledge. We have to make use of the knowledge we have. So everyone reflect on how powerful each of you are. And we have to use that power together. Give it a name, our relationship, I like to call it, we're in union together. Give it a time where we talk about these things. Find in your own community a place where you come together and build this culture of peace and nonviolence and critical analysis, and really, what is the change that we need to make in the world? So go for it all. I'm glad to be here again. Besides, I reference the Wobblies. I also want to reference another very important book by Wilhelm Reich, The Mass Psychology of Fascism. We are in a fascist situation now, emotional repression, and unless there is some freedom of our inner love, we what is that word about? Delegate and allow the powers and the authorities unquestioned to act for us. When our own love and emotion is there, then we act independently for ourselves in community with others.